Beanie Sigel later reflected that if he and Dame Dash had ever sat down for a serious talk, he probably would have sided with Dame without hesitation. Had Dame outlined a clear vision or presented even a rough game plan, Beanie believes he would have followed his lead. At the time, Dame was more reachable, more present, always around the offices, frequently pulling up to South Philly to hang out, even showing up at Beanie's mom's house. That kind of accessibility mattered. Dame felt like family. If he had simply laid things out, Beanie says the choice would have been obvious. As for Jay-Z, Beanie expressed that things felt different, like strategic roadblocks were always in his way. He believed Jay was playing chess behind the scenes, limiting his growth. One move that stuck with him was how Jay's album releases always seemed to drop right alongside his own. Whether it was right before or at the same time, Beanie felt suffocated by the competition, especially when it came from someone at the top of the food chain. That timing felt too precise to be random. Despite his own legal troubles and personal struggles, he could not shake the feeling that Jay was deliberately dimming his spotlight. Beanie admitted, "I just needed room to breathe." He also took accountability for some of the setbacks he faced, recognizing that his own decisions, especially around legal issues, played a role in his stalled career. But still, the pattern was hard to ignore. Now, with Diddy rumored to be cooperating with authorities and potentially naming names, a wave of speculation is rising. People are starting to revisit Jay-Z's past alliances and how many of them ended with his associates feeling betrayed or discarded. Could this be a moment of reckoning? If Diddy truly starts revealing secrets, how many other connections and actions will be exposed? Jay's reputation as a strategic genius has always come with whispers about the cost of those moves. So the question lingers, is he finally being held accountable for the bridges burned along the way? Drop your thoughts below and stay tuned, because the next chapter might be even messier. Man, those parties? I never really got into that scene. It just was not my thing. And as for the music, I stayed far from it. Wait, what is that sound? Oh, that is M. King. Yeah, he is out here feeling himself, living like he is unstoppable. You hear that vibe? But the shoes? You know they got to come correct with the kicks too. Everyone already knows what time it is. Now when it comes to Beanie Sigel, yeah, he was a problem. Dude was fire. But here's the thing. The industry kept a cap on him. According to someone high up, an executive actually said they would only allow Beanie to sell a limited number of records. They controlled that. For Beanie, the message was always clear. You could never shine brighter than Jay-Z on his own label. That ceiling was built in. Now, in a shocking twist, an anonymous woman identified as Jane Doe has come forward with serious allegations. She claims that in 2000, right after the MTV Video Music Awards, she was indecently assaulted at a New York house party by none other than Jay-Z and Diddy. At that time, Diddy had been seen attending the event alongside his then-girlfriend, Jennifer Lopez. In recent weeks, the whispers surrounding Diddy have grown into a storm. Word on the street is that he's staring down a possible life sentence, and now, rumors are swirling that he's trying to negotiate a deal, one that involves handing over big names to federal authorities in exchange for leniency. But we are not talking about small-time figures here. Sources say he is ready to expose major players, his inner circle, including his longtime associate Jay-Z, allegedly. Beanie Sigel has now entered the conversation, and his warning could not be more blunt. Jay better get moving while he still can. Beanie seems certain that Diddy holds some explosive secrets about Jay-Z, going all the way back to the 1990s. From the way Beanie tells it, the things that happened behind closed doors are far darker than the public ever imagined. The big question is, what does Beanie really know about Diddy and Jay's hidden past? And is Diddy really about to turn on everyone around him? The speculation is louder than ever. Many believe Diddy is seriously considering flipping, and it is becoming harder for him to hold up under the weight of what's ahead. When someone is facing the possibility of spending the rest of their life behind bars, even the most untouchable start to break. And according to insiders, Diddy is not planning to take the fall alone. He is allegedly preparing to name names, and not just anyone. Jay-Z is reportedly at the top of that list. This development did not come out of nowhere either. cast your mind back to last year when Diddy's son Christian released that bold diss track, Pick a Side. In it, he practically threatened his father's famous friends, warning that if they failed to show public support, there would be a price to pay. And now, it seems that moment of reckoning may have arrived. Well, not only did Jay-Z fail to show any support for Diddy, but he actually got his lawyer, Alex Spiro, to publicly say that Jay and Diddy were never even friends. I mean, Mr. She has absolutely no connection to that case, and there is really nothing more to discuss. Still, word is, when Diddy saw this being said about him, he completely lost it. Now, insiders with close ties to the situation are claiming Diddy has reached his breaking point. He is reportedly ready to do whatever it takes to protect himself, even if that means spilling some of Jay-Z's most deeply buried secrets. This is exactly where Beanie Sigel's voice becomes significant, and why his recent warning to Jay-Z suddenly carries serious weight. During the peak of the Rockefeller era, Beanie was one of Jay's most devoted allies. He held it down in the studio and on the streets, always riding for the team, even when it meant risking his own freedom. But when Beanie got caught up in legal trouble, Jay-Z did not step up for him. He kept his distance. And now, history may be repeating itself, with Diddy in deep legal jeopardy and Jay once again staying silent and out of reach. Let's not forget, Jay and Diddy go way back. They were not just friends, they were longtime partners, both publicly and behind closed doors, since the 1990s. That means Diddy likely had a front row seat to the inner workings of Rockefeller and later, Roc Nation. He would know the deals, made in private, the street affiliations involved, and who was protected when the authorities started circling. So if Diddy really decides to talk, he could very well reveal how Jay-Z managed to keep his hands clean while people like Beanie were left holding the weight. If that truth comes out, it would not just shake Jay's carefully crafted image, it would validate everything Beanie has been speaking on for years. To understand why Beanie's words matter, you need to know his story. Back in the early 2000s, he was not just another name on the Rockefeller roster. He was a heavyweight, a crucial figure who helped elevate the label's profile. He had a hit clothing brand, State Property, and even starred in films under that name. Beanie was building more than a rap career. He was creating a cultural movement, but then the empire started crumbling. Around 2004, tensions boiled between Jay-Z and Dame Dash over control of the label. Beanie, caught in the middle of this power struggle, stayed loyal to both, but things changed quickly. Once Jay-Z sealed a deal with Def Jam and took the reins, Beanie found himself edged out of the picture. No more seat at the table. No more inner circle treatment. And that is when the betrayal narrative began to make real sense. Because while Beanie was being sidelined, he was also being slammed with serious federal charges. The timing raised eyebrows. And now, with Diddy possibly preparing to air everything out, Beanie's story might finally get the attention it has long deserved. But Jay didn't step in to help. No support, no legal backup, nothing. And Beanie felt like he was left out to dry. And for someone who helped build the brand from the ground up, that cut deep. Right now, Jay-Z once pointed out that Beanie Sigel had opportunities most artists only dream of: a record deal, his own label, and even a clothing line. Yet, despite all that, Beanie never went platinum. Jay questioned how many in hip-hop had ever been given so much without achieving major commercial success. To him, it was hard to imagine what more could have been done for someone in Beanie's position. Still, years later, Beanie began to reflect differently. He admitted he had made some missteps, but the one he regretted most was putting his faith in Jay instead of Dame Dash. During a candid interview on The Art of Dialogue, Dame did not hold back. He accused Jay of manipulating Beanie, claiming Jay intentionally kept him from rising again. According to Dame, he had seen Beanie as the next face of Rockefeller, someone capable of carrying the label's legacy. But Beanie, loyal to Jay, stuck with him, believing that loyalty would be reciprocated. What he failed to realize, Dame said, was that Jay was not just letting him fade. He was allegedly working behind closed doors to block his comeback. Dame revealed he was trying to prepare for Beanie's prison sentence, helping him build a music vault by pushing out 4 or 5 albums ahead of time. "I was really hurt when Beans chose Jay over me," Dame admitted. I gave up Rockaware to focus on state property. I wanted to ride with him. It felt like Jay tricked him, shelved him, and in doing that, damaged his future. Beans was my new Jay. That's how much I believed in him. Eventually, Beanie came forward and echoed Dame's feelings, confessing that he had taken Dame for granted. When Beanie was released from prison, it was Dame who picked him up and got him back on the road. Literally. They were on a tour bus when an interview took place and Beanie was asked if he was signing with Dame Dash Music Group. Beanie's answer? He said he wanted to stay neutral. In that moment, he could not bring himself to choose between Dame and Jay, even though Dame was the one who showed up when he needed someone most. I believe if we had those conversations, I believe I would have rode with Dame. To rock with. That. Yeah, we had if Dame sat me down and he had a plan, regardless what the plan was, and mapped it out like this was going to do. The smartest decision at that time for me would have roll with Dane, because Dane was more accessible than Jay was. Dane was in the office every day. You could talk to Dane. You know what I mean? Dane used to come and chill on the block in South Philly. Dane pull up in bags at Mom Duke's spot. So, yeah, I think if we would have sat and he would have showed me and explained to me, our business plan and what we was going to do, that would have been an easy decision. Now, when it comes to Jay-Z, Beanie said it definitely felt like there were secret moves being made to keep him from reaching the next level. Things like Jay always dropping his albums right around the same time as Beanie's and only letting Beanie sell so many records. And while Beanie owned up to some of his own mistakes, including his legal issues, he made it clear that Jay's actions weren't just a coincidence. I do not really believe that one man has the power to completely ruin another man's life. In the Yao. And everything comes down to your own choices, your own actions, your mindset, and how you respond to what life throws at you. Looking back, I made a lot of mistakes. I was going through some real struggles, dealing with legal problems, mental battles, and a lack of inner clarity. My head just was not where it needed to be. I was not grounded. I was confused, reckless, and honestly, still trying to figure out who I really was in the middle of all the chaos that surrounded me. Back then, I used to sit with a lot of unanswered questions. One thing that really ate at me was this odd pattern. That kept happening, one I could never make sense of. Every single time I would prepare to drop an album, every time I was gearing up, building momentum, catching a wave, it felt like Jay would swoop in and release his own project either right before mine or directly on top of it, almost like clockwork. It was so consistent that it started to feel deliberate, And that confused me. It frustrated me. Because I never got the space to breathe, no room to let my own light shine. I would be working so hard to craft something meaningful, trying to find my lane, and boom. Jay would come in with his project, and the spotlight would shift instantly. All that energy I built would just disappear into his shadow. I used to think to myself, why? Why would someone who already has so much, someone who is already the boss, already a giant, feel the need to compete with me? We are supposed to be on the same team, right? It did not feel like healthy competition. It felt like I was being smothered, like I was trying to grow in a garden, but someone kept stepping on the roots just as they started to reach the surface. You know what I mean? I was young, still learning the game, still forming my identity as an artist, and every time I was about to break out, something would happen to shut it all down. Now, I am not saying he intentionally did it to sabotage me. I do not know what his reasons were. Maybe it was business, maybe it was coincidence, or maybe it was just the nature of the industry we were in, a place where even your own team can feel like competition. But it left a deep mark on me. Because that kind of thing messes with your head. You start to doubt your worth. You start to question if you are even meant to be here. It plays with your confidence, your drive, and your entire sense of direction. But at the same time, with age comes clarity. With experience comes a deeper understanding of how this world really works. I have realized that I cannot blame another man for how my life turned out. Not entirely. Sure, external forces played a role. But the truth is, I had control over how I responded. And I did not always choose wisely. I was distracted. I was caught up in the wrong things. I let ego, pride, and frustration cloud my judgment. I let myself spiral at times, and I take full accountability for that. That is the part people do not always see. They see the headlines, the moments of tension, the missed opportunities, but they do not see the internal struggle, the sleepless nights, the feeling of being stuck between loyalty and ambition, the moments when you want to speak out, but you are told to stay quiet because that is family, or it is not a good look. So you bottle it up. You smile for the cameras. You act like everything is good, but inside you are breaking, and that takes a toll on you. Over time, it hardens you, makes you move differently, trust less. You become guarded. You start walking into rooms wondering who is really for you and who just wants something from you. That paranoia, that uncertainty, it changes how you create, how you love, how you see the world. And eventually, you either get consumed by it or you rise above it. You make a choice. And for a long time, I struggled to make that choice. But today, I am in a better place. My mind is clearer. I am more grounded, more focused. I understand now that the music industry is not just about talent or timing. It is about politics, strategy, power dynamics. It is about knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. It is about learning to protect your peace even when everything around you feels like war. And looking back, I do not hold resentment. I do not carry bitterness. In my heart, I understand that everyone is fighting their own battles. Everyone is trying to survive in a system that does not always make room for fairness or grace. So maybe Jay had his reasons. Maybe he was just playing the game the way he knew how. Or maybe it was never even personal, and I just took it that way because of where I was mentally. Either way, I am done pointing fingers. I am done asking why about things that are already in the past. What matters now is how I move forward, how I use those experiences to grow, to become a better artist, a better man, a better human being. Because the truth is, I made my own choices. I allowed certain things to affect me more than they should have. I reacted instead of reflecting. But now, I choose to evolve. I choose to take ownership of my story. So yeah, maybe I never got to breathe back then. Maybe I always felt overshadowed, even by those I looked up to. But now I create my own air. Now I define success on my own terms. And that, to me, is real freedom. So now with all the rumors flying that Diddy is ready to snitch, fans are starting to connect the dots. Jay-Z's got a long track record of leaving friends hanging when things get real. And maybe, just maybe, karma's finally catching up to him. If Diddy really does start naming names, who knows what else could come out. So, what do you think? Is Jay finally paying the price for those old betrayals? And if Diddy spills all the tea, how deep do you think this whole thing will go? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't miss out on this next video.